Ah, it feels good when YouTube actually decides to work, right? Now, I apologize first off that last night we didn't have a video and wasn't able to distribute out the daily expected moves, even to Patreon, because my wife's getting sick and sick and sick, and she actually had to go to the doctor this morning. So we got Abuela to come hang out. But some things you need to know for this stream today is the daily expected moves will be in the bottom right corner. We are very open to questions, very open to things actually turning to the downside here, as well as we start to see these 30-minute divergences start to prove, hey, there can be some weakness here, but have we seen that weakness overall show up? Not necessarily. As we go over to something like volatility, we will see that there is 30-minute holding divergence right now. The hourly divergence that we were paying attention to yesterday still holding on the MACD, and we are still holding on the RSI. We do see some significance there, which means there is risk of a drop today. Now, risk of a drop does not mean a drop has to come, but these are certain things that we could see before we maybe go fill a gap and see some kind of pullback. The reason we're overall talking about pullback is because the 2-hour chart is overall going positive. So we want to lean towards pullback, but that can be aggressive as you are still by that center line. So we're looking for where those pullbacks could land, and that's where we get into our weekly and monthly expected moves with that second standard deviation. So something interesting here will be, what do stocks do throughout the day? Do we get any kind of tariff news? That'll be a big deal. The other announcement is we do have the course sale up right now, right? 80% off down in the description for the full technical analysis course. If you want to find trade setups like this one and give it a try and see if you can be good at it and figure it out, ooh, bam, to the upside, because that's exactly what we do here. We look for signals just like this outside of key areas where people are getting over leveraged in one direction, and we take that opportunity and we see 501.64 and boom, we go up to a weekly expected move and use the weekly expected move as a take profit at that point. This is a fantastic display of everything we look for here on this channel and everything that helps us out in finding direction for these stocks. And if you want to learn how to get that direction for yourself, hey, that link down in the description for the 80% off full technical analysis course, using indicators and giving you an options trading strategy that I call my doubling strategy for very volatile markets. But it can work in any market, and that's how you make money in any market, is you practice patience. And for me, I like to look for overreactions, and then I like to create a position. So think about getting that if you want to learn. But if you are still pretty green, you can hang out with us here and ask plenty of questions. All right, let's go over to the Qs just for a moment, see if anything's different there. Well, we do notice that this would maybe be declared as a lower high at this moment. We'll see if that 30-minute is able to confirm in the upward direction. But we do see 467.55. So if we do get that upward direction, just see if there is resistance there. A really good thing for this market to actually show itself as more bullish is to get that reaction up to the weekly expected move. Then we still will most likely get a 2-hour pullback, but that will more likely be just that, a 2-hour pullback, not revisiting these lows, because if the 2-hour can extend and go positive even more, then the probabilities of going to make that new low starts to be pretty slim. Okay, just so you are aware, downside 447.41, right? If this is some kind of lackluster move, or we're just going to pull back on that 30-minute and curl back up, hey, we'll pay attention to there. We'll look for these type of areas for a bounce if the 2-hour is able to cross over, looking at our monthly expected move, looking at our lower weekly expected move, and looking at our 95% line in the sand. There are still risks of going down to these type of levels, but we're starting to do enough work to where that's starting to become less and less probable every single day we remain at higher prices, so be aware of that. Let's go look at some hints we have out there. I still believe actually Apple could be considered a hint. Apple is curling down here. Didn't really have the good divergences or anything like that, but a 2-hour drop would make a lot of sense for Apple. Look for all of these 2-hour charts, and we even give you the dotted line, the 95% line in the sand for Apple, okay? So if you have weekly expected moves over on Patreon, well, then you might see those weekly expected moves somewhere in these areas and say, oh, okay, there's a lot of support down here. So we'll find out, but Apple does have the opportunity to head lower because this has serious risk when it comes to China. Now, I did want to talk about one that definitely looks like a higher low would form, and that is NVIDIA. Semiconductors have been performing very well. We have broken out of the zone. We have retested in the zone. Hey, let's get going, right? If this thing's going to get going, let's get going now, because if the 2-hour crosses down, it looks like you might dip into this zone, maybe even a little deeper, down towards a price point of about 100 to 101. So just be aware of that. We could always reach down and get a wick, maybe to go fill a gap or something like that. But if the 2-hour crosses, you see, it would be very difficult for this to just go negative, negative, negative. But if you are scared of that, if you are scared of some kind of stock market crash, well, then if I'm in NVIDIA and I'm scared that it's going to crash, well, then if this 2-hour curls down, that's what I would see before big price action to the downside. And then I could just say, hey, I'm going to be out. It's too risky for me, too risky for me. Okay, it turns around. Okay, I am right back in, right? Trading like water. That is what we're overall doing on this channel, right? We're trading like water. We're understanding the risk. We understand that a stock can do anything at any moment. And so we just need to be ready to react and understand what thing in the near future is going to help us react to those things, right? So if you're confused at all about risk management, we do have sections for that. On this channel, we talk about it all the time. You probably hear me say risk, risk, risk all the time. But if you actually want like the exact strategy, how I like to manage trades to mitigate my risk, I do give a strategy for that in the 80% off course down in the description. So check it out if it's for you. But other than that, I think we got a lot of stock market stuff to get into. I wanted to look at a few of our hints from yesterday. Microsoft, a great hint, confirmed divergence. This means 2-hour can cross here. But if we curl up, if 30 minutes keep curling up and the 2-hour never curls back down, hey, we could be starting some kind of squeeze, right? We are in that environment. That's why I was okay with not necessarily putting out a YouTube video last night. I was like, well, not a lot's changed, right? We're looking for step 2. Right now we have step 1. This right here could be a trap signal, right? We do see that Google went up to higher prices, creating the divergence point on your RSI, creating the divergence point on your MACD. Let's just make sure that's on the RSI real quick. Slightly down. So not the most significant, which is good. Why is this good? Because these ones are overall positive. That would mean that we could hold up at higher levels. We could go retest the breakout area right in here, 155. We want it to be kind of slim. We could hold up at the 5 if we wanted to it to be pretty slim. If it's going to be aggressive, then we might go test a point of about 148.50 for something like Google, right? 148.50, and then we can see if that can turn around. But the positioning of the MACD here overall suggesting that a higher low would be very probable here for Google. Let's go look at a couple other hints. I mean, if you want to look at the smaller stocks, maybe even the memers, right? Well, the memers have those divergences as well. And the memers actually have 30-minute triple divergence, so pay attention to it. The 2-hour is aggressively positive here. So this is most likely going to be a pullback, which means what? For this week, I can pay attention to, let's say, a weekly expected move, right? A 2-hour pullback, a weekly expected move is very good for that. And then we can see if that's able to turn back up into positive territory. Remember, if this turns down, it can still be a very bad thing. It can go down and down and down. If I'm worried about that, and I'm aware of that, and that's too risky for me if this is turned down, well, then I cannot be in anything to do with GME when that curls down, and then I can wait for that buy to come back in. I'm not trying to catch the actual bottom there. I'm just trying to see if momentum shifts back to the upside. Why does my screen keep going back and forth? That's annoying. Just trying to shout out a bunch of info this morning, really trying to shout it out. One thing I did want to shout out was gold. Gold at this point is overbought, okay? This just means for us, right? This means if I woke up today, I decided I'm going to invest, and everyone says that I should buy gold, and I see gold like this, maybe after taking some of those courses down there, okay? Maybe after that. Well, then I would look at this and go, is this an opportunity? Well, if we look at this as an opportunity to take a bullish play, we would say most likely not, right? We're running into potential monthly expected moves already. We see daily divergence here on the MACD and RSI, triple divergence on your RSI if we would curl back down. So it's not so much that is going to curl back down. I'm not trying to predict, yes, that is going to curl back down. I'm just saying starting a position here is not a good idea. I'm not necessarily thinking about shorting gold or anything like that, but you do have triple divergence on your MACD. You have triple divergence on your RSI at the same time. So I wanted you guys to be aware of that. I'm not overall, say, bearish on gold. I just think that it needs a solid little weekly retrace. I mean, this thing's been skying up for a while, and actually a weekly divergence here as well. So not on the MACD at the same time, which tells us that more likely we are going to go retest down towards this 20 on the weekly. More likely we could see this thing drop down and test that 50 on the weekly, or try to come in a little bit higher than that towards this price point for GLD of about, I would say 250 is a good number to pay attention to. But overall a weekly pullback would be more of what I'd look for an opportunity to get more bullish on gold. This is a very bullish move from gold, but it is very overextended at this point. And if it wants to pop off, that's great. But we talk about decision making. And right now, this would overall be really FOMO looking if I would get into something like gold. Another one that I wanted to point out, right? I'm just showing you guys a lot of the things that I was looking at this morning. The 30-minute chart here for Palantir. I really wanted to talk about this. Palantir has a pretty steep divergence here for your MACD. RSI, it's not the most steep, but I just wanted to be aware of this because I believe we ran into even weekly expected moves for this. So I'll double check on that real quick. Where the heck is my Palantir? Palantir. Okay, Palantir, we did run into that weekly expected move. So as of right now for Palantir, this is very, very likely to be a level where you see a pullback. You at least go fill this gap, okay? Early on in the week, you're going up to this price and you're getting through that weekly expected move. What do we see at the weekly expected move? Divergence. This is everything that we look for. Again, does that mean it has to go down? No, it can always curl up and see something crazy, but this would say, hey, that's 30-minute divergence. We are very, very likely. The most likely thing is to turn down on the 2-hour chart, maybe go down to that price point about 85.12, maybe just to fill this gap. But a 2-hour pullback seems very likely with those type of signals. If we are going to squeeze, a squeeze is always the less probable thing, right? If I have a weekly expected move and I have a bigger probability to land here, a lower one to land here, this is still possible, but this would be more probable. If this is happening, well, then that's where management of the trade can come in. If the 30-minute is able to curl down, say curl down like this and curl right back up, well, then that would totally contradict the 2-hour chart. So just be aware of that. But I wanted to show you how Palantir does have a form of weakness, and it is suggesting that a 2-hour pullback is the more probable thing from this area at this moment. Another one we were looking at was JP Morgan. JP Morgan confirming 30-minute divergence here, able to hold up really, really well for the time being, still above that 5-day. Once again, if that 30-minute curls up, what's not going to happen? Well, this 2-hour is not going to be able to cross down. But this one is slightly close to that center line, right? It's in that middle area for the positioning. So this means it can see something crazy. It can go down to these lows, but I think it's more likely to just go test into something like 225. I think 225 looks good. If we want to go down to 221.62, I think that's where I'd really start to pay attention, is that red line right there. But I just wanted to show you multiple areas, right? JP Morgan, a finance stock, a couple of tech stocks, looking at some smaller ones, looking at some memers and things like that as well. So looking at gold too. So there's just a lot going on, and I think it's interesting that we're starting to see something shape up. Do we see the opposite thing, right? We're talking about some weakness in momentum here, but if we get no bad news, maybe this just continues. Well, as of right now, we're looking if that 2-hour can curl up as we have hourly divergence down here at the low. We have 30-minute rejection divergence as of right now, which means the 2-hour can get a reaction. And if we look at this from the daily chart, we're looking at this and we go, oh, that is down negative 17%. That means today and tomorrow, you have an 85% chance to see a down day in those trading sessions for the SPY. When VIX is down by more than 10%, okay, we need to pay attention because that is when we can see a down day in the next 2 trading sessions. Does that mean it has to be an absolute crash and volatility is going to sky? That's possible, but usually when you see that, it's more likely to, hey, let's pay attention to the signals and say, hey, if the 2-hour curls up, the positioning of the MACD would suggest a lower high would be the more probable situation. All right, so now we have a good basis for everything we're paying attention to. We have about 30 minutes until the open. I am going to go grab a quick glass of water, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to say hi to you guys in the chat. I just wanted to give you guys a nice little spiel this morning to start us off. All right, be right back. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I'm going to go get some drink here, and I'll get saying hi in the chat because I see you guys are in here. And the first name I read was Jonna. What's up, Jonna? Be right back. Sorry, guys, but when baby girl wants to kick the ball, I let her kick the ball, okay? I sit there and I kick the ball with her because I got to turn her into a soccer player and manipulate her into thinking it's what she wants, you know? Come on. That's what we do. All right, guys. So, yeah, we have some stuff to pay attention to today. Welcome into the live stream. How's it going, Jim, Embrew, Avila, Mohammed, Jonna, Ellie, Fit BH, Ken Susi. I like it. Alex, Jagger, Laws, Wise Man. How's it going this morning? Let me see Alex in here again. Seems like Mark for Mike is here. That's great. That's great to see. Good morning, good morning, morning. Are we appreciative, Miss Bombshell, that YouTube is working today? Because I am. I like our little morning YouTube cruise. It's kind of nice, right? It's kind of nice. What up, William? How's it going? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Ranjiv, how's it going? I gotta take this watch off. I slept in it last night and I got like a freaking callus or something. That's my bad. I'm gonna take that off for the day. Taz in the chat today. That's what's up. That's what's up. What is it? What is it? Let's see. Let's see if we can come up with some numbers for TAW. 4/15/2025. 19. Let's add just 2 there. 21. Plus what? Plus 7. 21. 28. Ah, dang. So close. So close. If that was 27, I would have said 3 numbers, divide by 3, add the 3 numbers, divide by 3, and then it would have been 9. Damn it. So close, TAW. It's true, TAW. A lot of things do want to. I think that a lot of things will want to get to those golden pockets. I wonder from this low. I mean, I wonder where this pullback got to. Golden pocket, baby. So, I mean, if this is going to be like Luster, you would probably just say, you know, from this low to there, hey, we pull back into 520. And people are saying, you know, SPX 5200, very important. I'm going to go look at some levels real quick before we get too far into it today, and I forget because I'm a silly goose. All right. Let's go get those levels for the SPY for the day, see if anything has changed for Thursday. Oh, we actually have some bullishness coming in today. Wow. Wow. I mean, not like bullish, but we do see some interesting things. So for the day, we could say, okay, 530, maybe 520, and 510. Okay, we'll take those. But the first point, 530. First point here, 550. So 530, 550, those would be good to watch for now. And 530, where is that? Well, that's down by our daily expected move. Oh, goodness. What was the other one? 550. Oh, well, that's by the upward daily expected move. So we have some interesting levels, and they're kind of adding up to, hey, we can pay attention to our daily expected moves. I'm going to pop over and look at Thursday. Thursday, we have an extreme still. Actually, it's really come in with the bearishness. A lot more calls have started to come in. Max Payne adjusted. It used to be 550. Now it's 549. 549. That's pretty cool. Right now, it looks like 540 is going to be a key level. And right now, we are below that. Below that level, I'd be paying attention to potentially 530. And after that, it looks like 500 is open for the Thursday expiration. So we'll have to see what happens there. Get out my other charts real quick. Look at this. Go to here. Bam. All right. Did you cover Bitcoin? Did not cover Bitcoin yet. I thought Bitcoin would have the opportunity to see a 2-hour divergence here, though. Let's see if it's shaped up. Yeah, it's shaping up. Okay, now this is just now forming. So this is in no way confirming at all, just so you're aware. This could all be consolidative, and you could just keep bursting through. The important part here is, do you hold the significant divergence? Do you hold this divergence here? And do you actually see this confirmed down? Do we actually see this confirmed down go negative? Do we see this confirmed down and go across that center line, right? Right now, this is just like, you're prepared, right? This isn't, I'm not even like really worried, right? Now, once you start to see negativity come in, then you go, okay, now I'm going to wait for that signal. I'm going to see if that confirms. Okay, it confirms down. All right, this actually confirms down. But as of right now, don't get it twisted. This is bullish for the time being. Right, this is bullish. Can it keep going? Can it keep going? Can it keep going? That's what you need. Because if you're going to do this and you're going to see that 2-hour turn down, that would be something to react to. Now, as it stands for Bitcoin, you have great signals. You have daily divergence that has completed. It's pretty nice. You even held triple divergence technically here for the RSI. That's fantastic. This looks great. Like from a daily perspective, this means the weekly chart is most likely going to curl up soon. But it doesn't mean that we can't see those interweek pullbacks, right? We can't see those. So what would we be looking at with a 2-hour divergence? Well, for Bitcoin, a 2-hour divergence likes to cross down 4-hour charts. The 4-hour chart here is crossed down for now, and it's starting to form its own little something here. So we'll see if the 4-hour can go negative, as that has been kind of pulling back with time overall. So we'll see if this actually turns down to go negative. But the thing is, if that 2-hour drops, the 4-hour actually gets that pullback moment. Do we just do something like this? Come down into like, I think we said 70. I think we like that $80,000 mark, that 79.9K. Bam, we come down into here. Maybe we're able to break to the upside. The key thing here, if we're really watching it, if this could extend a little higher, that would be nice. Extend up to like 87.1K, right? Get to this level at least, because then you would be like, oh, okay, we're going to use something like this, and then we'll get that 4-hour pullback that might freak people out, and then it just turns back to the upside, and you got left head and right shoulder. So it looks very bullish for the time being. It looks like we're about to go into that bullish trend, but we're aware that before that bullish trend can really be solidified, we can see this 2-hour drop back down. And that would just be something to react to, right? If you're a bull and you bought off of this higher low in positive territory, you're going, okay, this all looks good. Okay, another higher low. Okay, that looks good. Okay, there's divergence here. I'll be worried about that if it crosses. But if it doesn't cross, then it's just could be going, oh, I just got to pay attention this whole time. Okay, now is this starting to wipe that out? Now is this starting to wipe that out? Right? Those are the type of things I would look for this to remain bullish, and just be aware of the signal to react to at this moment. Very nice for Bitcoin, though. Thanks for asking. We don't check on Bitcoin every single day, so I have to be usually reminded about that in order to do that, right? Trump says all necessary permits will be expedited for NVIDIA 1329. I like those numbers. Hey, there you go. G'day, mate. How's it going? Hope we're doing good out there. Matthew, how's it going? Hopefully that was good for you. A $400 sim trading futures last night, man. You could do it. It's easy. Yeah, I could. Mine's just like, I work enough, you know? I work enough and I'm comfortable. I don't necessarily need to. I mean, the only thing that makes me want to do more futures stuff is just because of dark pools and things like that. You know, because trading is a lot of off exchange now, so it's good to be watching things most likely after hours a little bit more so these days. I love that Miss Bombshell just laughed at the fact that I'm like trying to manipulate my daughter into becoming a soccer player. Come on. That was like my whole life was soccer, so she's gonna play. And if she doesn't like it, maybe she likes cooking or something like that, because maybe she really likes mama. Bull or a bear today? I'm not necessarily a bull or a bear. I guess my positions would say I have a bullish position, but I do have a hedge in case the downside does come. So I guess you would say I'm neutral to bullish. But right now, these signals are what you should care about, right? These signals will actually, what these type of things we talk about can help you make a decision for your type of trade. That's why we talk about the decision making. And right now, and we talk about the most probable things. Right now, the most probable thing with the signals that we do see and the confirmations that we do have is a 2-hour pullback is the most probable thing. A 2-hour drop in some fashion. Could be sideways, it could be in any kind of fashion. Right? Volatility is also calling that there should be a pullback in the next 2 trading sessions. Okay, we can read into that. Okay, we're getting confirmations from divergence for a lot of things. Okay, we can read into that. So that's more what I like to follow most of the time, right? You want to see what the actual things that are shaping up in front of you are at this moment. So if the 2-hour crosses here, I might be out of my longs, right? That would be my management of risk. And then I would say, but I already have a hedge, right? So if I have a hedge, am I that worried about it? Those are the type of decisions that I have to deal with at this moment. I hedge my longs as well. So yeah, I think this is where that resistance is, right? We see plainly like, okay, resistance. A lot of people potentially going, oh yeah, we can head to the upside now. They are right. They are right. And you know what you know what needs to happen for this to go like that? The 30-minute just has to curl back up. Right? And then it has to hold the positivity, right? It can't make another divergence point. Keep it simple. I'm going to extend this out a little bit so we can see just a little bit more of that Mac Dizzle. Mac Dizzle for shizzle, you know what I'm saying? Good morning, Chris. How's it going? Yeah, man, just try it. You can sim trade on NinjaTrader for 12 a month, cancel anytime. You just pay for data. Not bad. Bitcoin is breaking out of its falling wedge on the daily. It needs to hold, but I could get it smacked right in the bit. Well, if it's breaking out of a wedge in any fashion, you're always aware of reversals for retests and things like that. When you normally pull off your hedge, it really depends. It will really depend. Um, if it depends on how aggressive the selling is, it depends on how fast it is, how what it's shaping up to be. A lot of the time, since I keep my hedges, I more so hedge in a fashion to keep it cheap. I do shorter expiration. I'd be looking for what reaction do we see here, right? What do we actually see the 2 hour confirm down today? If the 2 hour confirms down today and we go like this, and or maybe we do this first and then we go like this and then it confirms down at the end of the day, I'm holding that still in case that extends, right? In case we lose that 5. But then if I see that reaction and we turn back up off of that, that's when I would potentially be out of that hedge. And I would say, okay, now I'm just letting those longs produce upside. The other fashion that I like to take profits, say, on a hedge, right? If I am going to see dramatic price actions to the downside, I'd be looking right here, weekly expected moves, right? I don't fool around when it comes to weekly expected moves, and I definitely don't fool around with this second standard deviation, 95% line in the sand. So if for whatever reason we crash down to this point, I would take the hedge off. I understand that we could go deeper and I understand there's risk there, but at the same time, I might even be managing my trades in here if it gets too aggressive. So there's multiple ways I can do it. And the reason for that is just I'm not in the mentality of stock market crash and I don't have enough money risked long to say like, oh yeah, I have to hang on to my hedge. That's all. Most people I say would just say, I have all my longs in. Okay, awesome. I can hold a hedge, hold a hedge, hold a hedge. But then it's like, when do you sell the longs at that point? So this would more so be, hey, if we do this, I get out of the hedge. If we see some kind of bounce and that fails again and doesn't create a divergence, okay. If we don't see any reversal in here, that's when I would potentially get rid of all my longs. But these are all things that I've written down. I probably could pull out the book. Yeah, so the book page here. Let's go to hedge. Look for the hedge. Yeah, hedge says look for the 5-day retest and look for the weekly expected move after that. Right, so those are my 2 decision areas that I marked off. So 5-day sitting right around where my daily expected move for today, and the weekly expected move sitting at that lower price. So those are the 2 areas where I say that's where I could make a decision. Vibe like water, bring positive and negative vibes in. What's going on with Hood? Oh, lagging due to money that would otherwise go into bull. Seen some upside through correlation. Well, that was an IPO. I'm not too keen on reading into the price action of an IPO necessarily, but I would just say Hood's doing exactly what pretty much everything else is doing, and you probably have 30-minute divergence here. Let's go look. Up, look, 30-minute divergence. Okay, so this just tells you that 2-hour pullback would be the most probable thing at this area. Now, is the 2-hour in an area where it's like, oh yeah, that's super overbought? No. So can that extend? Yeah. But would it get one of these type of little pullback moments most likely before? Most likely. But things can do crazy things, right? Stocks can do whatever they want to do at any moment. So if this 30-minute curls up, is that saying the 2 hours is going to go down? No, it's completely opposite. Now, if the 30-minute curled up and then curled down right away, that would say the 2 hours probably coming down. And as of right now, you have the signal confirmed suggesting that a 2-hour pullback is the most probable. This is not turned up right now. This is turned down, which means you have confirmed the divergence, you have confirmed it on the RSI, and now we're seeing, hey, can the 2-hour actually cross here? Because if the 2-hour crosses, hey, we're potentially, I'll probably just like look for key levels, right? So key levels for me would be breakout area, the low of the wick, and then all the way down to, I would take these wicks right here, actually, 36 pretty much. So that would be great. Bam! Everyone gets really bearish, and then it just goes, whoop. So it says, hey, there is a sign of weakness, and that weakness has confirmed. So is that your reaction time, or are you waiting for the 2-hour to cross? Are you waiting to see if the 30-minute gets another curl up? What's the plan for Hood? But as of right now, you have 2-hour or 30-minute divergence. Not necessarily the absolute best buying pressure in the world here. Just kind of flaggy, but also in a pretty decent upward direction, not the most upward. So I would still say pullback going down to the lows. Let's look at the 2 hour. Yeah, see, going down to the lows, like chopping out this low seems very unlikely. It is more likely to potentially test in here or test in here. And we'd have to get some pretty bad news to shake us out that much. But volatility is still elevated. What up, try this game? How's it going this morning? Thanks, Lucas. Not in it, but watching it. Yeah, give it a watch. I mean, this is the time where it's like if you see a 2 hour pullback and it crosses back up, you want to be paying attention. All right, if you see a 2 hour cross down, like even for the SPY, right? Because look at this. Just watch. If the SPY is going to get to here, what would it do now to potentially reload? If it saw weakness here, what would happen? Well, if it's going to get to here, then it's either going to do this, curl up with a higher low in some way, or it's going to really fake people out and do this and then be able to get there. So either way, whenever this 2 hour is able to confirm back up, if it even confirms down, you could just see that right now. But whenever this 2 hour is able to confirm back up, it would say that's the moment where we have a high probability to go up to higher levels, go up to that 576. And if you get to 576, you are back on the bull, my friend. You are definitely back on the bull. What we're trying to figure out are the hints down here that can tell us if we're getting up to there, right? We're using shorter time frames to see how bigger time frames would react. So we're using a 2 hour chart to see if this daily could confirm up. Where would the daily need to get to? Well, potentially here. Hey, if you get lucky and it squeezes, bam, you get lucky and it squeezes. It's more likely to see something like this, pull back, then go to the upside. But for right now, we see 30-minute problems. We see 2 hours that could pull back. Oh gosh, I gotta sneeze. Oh, it's everywhere. No, God. The lowest 504, do we need to wait 30 minutes to see if it's going through? How do you assess if it's crashing or going back up? I don't. Now, this is where it's important too. This told us we're not crashing. This told us that a crash was very unlikely. Okay, right when this bar printed, right here, this moment right here, the second that that confirmed, it said you are very, very, very unlikely to crash. Why? This is a 95% line, and you have a reversal signal below the 95% line, which means you ain't crashing, right? That means you had a 5%, maybe less than a 5% chance to see a crash right there. But the fact that you had a reversal signal behind it means you probably had a sub 1% chance of crashing right there. But everyone thought crash, crash, crash. That actually the 1% moment was the opposite, right? Everyone was betting on this, that weirdly enough, with options as far as how people were betting, the real 1% moment that ended up happening was this, while everyone was betting on a 0 to 0.1% moment down here. Okay, so if we want to see that again, what would really help us out? What would really help us out is seeing something like this right over here. Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be great? Maybe it's a little lower. That would be amazing. Now, sometimes you get that. Most of the time, you get that before a nice move. We got it right there. That's everything we talk about in the course. But for this move so far, we're looking for the 2 hour. So if we aren't going to do something like this right over here, we could see the 2 hour turn down, and we could just see the 2 hour turn up, right? That V-shape type thing. And if it V-shapes, all we have to see if that's V-shaping and get good momentum is we see this dip down, we see it curl back up, we get confirmation from the MACD, from the price action, from the RSI, and we're good to go, right? This is why I'm paying very close attention. I'm trying to talk as clearly as possible to you guys out there, because this is where big tricks happen, big traps happen, big crashes happen, but big moves to the upside happen. So if that 2 hour is going to never do this, right? Because we're saying we have to react to that. If this is never going to do that, then I'll be out, right? If it never gives me any inclination of curling back up, or it curls up, almost curls up and fails, well then I'll have to be out of my plays and be thankful that I had a hedge, right? But it's very simple. 2 hour divergence with a V-shape, awesome. 2 hour higher low with a V-shape, awesome. 2 hour just sideways price action that turns back up, awesome. All those are good things. Those are the most probable things to happen at this moment. If you are scared and you do not want, and you're not good at positioning size, and you have too much money at risk, then I would say if this 2 hour crosses down, then it's going to be very risky because there is always a chance that it falls through the floor. It's just I'm a probabilities guy, and I say, when we get down to here, I'm going to be looking at those moves and going, see if things turn around. Well, here's the thing. People can be good at charting. Like, let's put it this way. People can be good at charting, but are they good at executing the trade? Right? Are they good at executing on their emotions? Because even people I know who are very good at charting were not able to see this. Literally, we talked about this before it even happened. And then we just told you when it confirmed, right? That's pretty much all we did. We talked about it before it happened. We said, oh, if that confirms, okay, yeah, it's confirming. Look for that weekly expected move, right? That's it. I can tell you right now that very little amounts of people were aware of the structure that actually would lead to this big move. A lot of people said it's oversold, right? But they were overall saying crashes happen when you're oversold, right? Maybe you get a little dead cat and it comes back down. So I think that if this would drop one more time, I think the fear of crash would be insane again. And I'm just not betting against that. Now, I am not by any means like the best trader in the world, but I execute things and understand my risk management. That's it. Like those two things allow me to be more successful than I take losses. And that's it. Really? My hair has grown backbones. You're funny. I owe it all to the Willow indicator. Shut up, Bones. There's no way. I recommend the course in the channel. I got stopped in Arizona going 106 and told the guy to invest. I got a brand new twin. Oh my goodness. That brought me up for 85 and 75. Hey, that's great. If you're recommending people, hey, I appreciate it. Sorry, we get a lot. Sometimes we get trolls in here, so I'm just like, I don't know about it. But we do hear good things. You know, people have literally emailed me the longest things, longest thank yous, longest stories about their trading and how just learning a few of these things, right? They might even say, I don't utilize everything you do, but I use some of the things from your course to make my strategy better. And it's really helped out, right? Weekly expected moves, monthly expected moves. So I love reading that stuff. I've gotten really, really good messages, right? I've gotten really good emails that are just like, fills my heart with joy, if you will, because it's like that's the whole point. That was the whole point of doing this when I was talking to my wife about it. When we were, especially when I started seeing the retail side get ripped off more, especially even more so as we started seeing more dark pool activity than lit market. I think those things really have made this a blessing, right? It's been a blessing to do some work with you guys and show off some analysis, and I'm just very, very happy. And I feel like we're doing something meaningful because weirdly enough, the emails that I get, I see at least there is a percentage of people whose lives are getting better because of it and they're making better decisions. And they thank me. And I always say this at the end of the day, I tell you things, you have to be able to understand it and execute. And I think that's very, very cool. So really all of the all of the gratitude should be within yourself, right? Because you're the one making the decisions. At the end of the day, you have to choose what to do. You assume the risk. I do not assume the risk when you take a trade. So I really want you to think about it that way and be like, I'm accountable for the losses, but you're also accountable for the wins. And you should, celebrate those briefly and then know that the market can kick your ass the next day. But thank you for shouting that out. Have we had a death cross on the daily that didn't eventually go lower? Well, we can go look. Here, I'll look on my other charts just to make it so you guys are looking at the SPY. Then we can look at some other things if we would like to. All right, so you'd probably go all the way back to, say, 2018. And I'll show you the death cross from Oh, wait, that's Apple. Sorry about that. I'm on Apple over here. We got to go to the SPY. But it probably is 2018 still. Let me go see. Okay, this was definitely 2020. 2020 death cross was a bottom. Before that was in 2018. So 2018 is a good point to pay attention, right? This is when you used it as rejection. So you see here that you built, but you notice that when that confirmed, okay, we saw an upward move first, then we see the next downward. So, and we actually went above it. Very interesting, but you can use it as resistance, right? You can use it as resistance, but let's just look. Okay, so from the time that it crossed to the low, yes, you went through bad things, but how much longer did you have? So you're telling me the death cross happened 22 days later, 3 weeks, you find a bottom, and guess what? 2 months later, you're back above that point. Or like 3 months later, you're back above that point. So it's very quick, right? Very, very quick. So you do have points, and I think this is good to show, like, hey, you can reject from that area. So if we're paying attention to, say, right now, and you pull this out to a daily chart, you would say the more risky area would potentially be, hey, if we do this, right, this area would be where it's risky again to potentially see the next fall based on that behavior. But you would need most likely a daily move up and then see a daily cross down to grab a huge amount of liquidity at that point. Watch GME. Oh, shit. I don't know if I want to watch GME. Oh, God. I don't know, man. We'll see. It's quick, but shouldn't we expect lower? You shouldn't expect anything, right? The only thing you should expect is that this week you're going to land with a 68% chance in here. The only thing you should expect for the month of April is a bigger expectation to land in here. But just to expect to go lower, it's just like, what does that even mean, right? Because you could say that, but someone could be totally different than you. So you could be like, I expect this to go down to 478. But the person next to you could say, I expect this to go down to 406.91. And the big thing is, even if you're expecting something, I'm not going to tell you like, hey, I look into the future too. I can look at expected moves and I expect things to happen. I understand that. But how quickly am I to transition? How quickly am I to trade like water? If I say this is going to 406, and then we curl down right here and I go, see, it's going down to 406, and then I see this, and that curls back up. Would I still say, oh yeah, this is going down to 406? And then would it keep going like this? And then when it gets to here, am I going, okay, this is where we reject and it goes to 406. And then it turns down and I go, see, I'm right. It's going to 406. And then I see it curl back up and I go, it's going to 406. No, it's just breaking through. Oh, that's divergence. So that's when we're going to go to 406. Do you see how that's troublesome? You have to be willing to change, right? Depending on your strategy. Because if I just say 406 and I expect 406 the whole time, it's kind of like, when do I stop expecting 406? Does that make sense? And I always like to stick with what's most probable. So I would say it this way. I'm aware that this can happen. I'm also aware that this is very, very less likely. There's very little probability. This has a way higher probability of doing something like that. Yeah, Embrew, and I know I'm nitpicking, man. I'm freaking nitpicking your words and things like that. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to make sure, because especially on the internet, words matter, right? That's why I always say, when I say, I think this will happen, that doesn't matter. What matters is reality, right? What really happened versus what happened. What happened is how I see it. What really happened is what happened in the charts. Can you take a look at LMND? Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it, Justin. LMND. Lemonade. Ooh, baby. Let's go. I like it. I knew before it even popped up. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. That is a very significant divergence. The 30-minute showed it as well. Very good entry here. Right here. Let's see if this had the good entry. Let's see. Was it this bar? Yeah, this bar right here said entry 2616. 30-minute. And you'll get to know this as, you know, we talk about the golden setup in the course and things like that. We are going to shout that out because there are signals that are shaping up to, signals that really trick trap people throughout the last like couple of months. So now that you've seen a bunch of that, I think it's a great time to see if you want to learn. That's fine. So I will be mentioning it just a little bit more often. But this bar right here said take me. And the reason it's take me is because, hey, 30-minute divergence likes to do what? Well, this confirmed up at 12:30, 260, 26, 24. The 2-hour confirmed up when? Oh, look at that. 12:30, 26. You had the confirmation at the same time on both indicators. That is a great sign. That does not mean this can't fail, right? How does this fail? Well, you could even potentially say, hey, the 30-minute crosses down and goes negative right now, right? But how this likes to shape up is this is going to cause most likely a daily move to go back into this area in some way, right? This is where having a monthly expected move can help you out, right? When did the April start? Okay, it started, what is this? This day right here, right here. So it started from here. So this is probably out of a monthly expected move, right? So if I know that the monthly expected move is here, and then we go back into that, and then I see it go into this area, and then I see it pull back, and then I see it go like this. Hey, with all that going on, by May, you could end up at the top side of this range, right? That monthly expected move, you would say the trade might just be, you know, that 2-hour divergence gets me back into that monthly expected move. And maybe that's all the money I need to make, right? It's a good trade. But for the time being, this most likely will see some kind of daily curl up, and I think you're going to get into this area because there is so much congestion in this area. I would be probably creating a zone in here like this, including that wick, and saying right there is where you can run into resistance. If you're able to go up and retest into that, then I think you're going to come into this area up here, which would be the resistance there. Right? And you would watch out in here. If you break out and everything looks good, hey, just say high five yourself in the mirror because it's going to keep going up. Why is Bitcoin ripping? Because a 2-hour chart curled up and people are still buying it. We talked about this yesterday on Rumble. Hey, that 2-hour is about to curl up off of the 5-day moving average. 2-hour curls up, still good, right? This is bullish with a bearish tint, right? It has that bearish shadow over it because of the divergences forming. But don't let them be like, oh, it's very difficult to find your sweet spot with your comfortability. But if you see a signal like this, when I have weekly expected moves, I like to take profit. That's me with the options, right? But with Bitcoin and things like that, as long as this is positive, man, this thing can scream. So all you need to do is say, this is good. How could it get bad? Okay, well, if that happened, right? If this happened, that would say I'm getting bad. If this crossed, that would be bad, right? But right now, everything is good. So why is Bitcoin going up? Because people are buying it and the 2-hour momentum curled up telling you that people were buying it. It's that simple. Buying and selling. Ooh, some positivity going on here. Netflix we'll look at. I like Netflix. Let's go. I think I added Netflix down here so we could look at it. Netflix I really liked here for the structure. Look at the structure of Netflix and look at this breakout. It's great. I would love it to retest too. That'd be great. So for the time being, bam, right? What did we say yesterday? Left, head, right shoulder. All right, how high could that go? I'm not going to include this. I'm going to include where that double bottom kind of came in. Now I'm going to go like that. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to put this on the top of the closing bar there because I like to be generous with it. And then a lot of the time I like to look at the number and I see 1,030, 1,040. So what I would say for me is I would do this. 1,000. 1,000 is the area where I start to pay attention because that is a whole number, because that is what? The high. All right. So I look where that can get to, and then I look for an area where we could pull back. Then we can start to do some things with this maybe and go, okay, A, let's take it from this point, not using this wick just now. But we'll take it from this point in the middle here. B, okay, so it most likely will run into resistance at 1,000 at some point, as long as the shorter time frames still hold very cleanly here on the 2-hour. The 30-minute now is violating all the divergence, right? If this can keep going, then it would say, okay, pull up to this area, right? Pull up to that area, retest a little bit lower, and then curl back up, and everything looks good. This is a very good look for Netflix. Netflix is curling up on the daily chart. We mentioned the daily divergence as well. Daily divergence for Netflix. We mentioned that last week. We were like, wow, it looks like daily divergence for Netflix. That'd be crazy if it confirmed. So that means if the daily is confirming here, I think it is much more likely to test this high, actually, because it has divergence behind it. I think you can get up to these levels, but you understand how this can be troublesome, right? So if the daily curls up, if I see 2-hour divergence right here, I got to treat it very seriously in case this is failing. But as of right now, earnings coming up, daily divergence beneath it. Earnings is something risky. It's 50-50, but that's daily divergence, and it looks pretty good. We'll see what happens, right? You know, once it comes to earnings, you got to really consider position sizing, even more so. But very good look. Thank you to whoever shouted out on Rumble yesterday. Sorry we had to go on Rumble yesterday. I do appreciate you guys coming over there. All right, let me go. I got to look at some stuff real quick, guys. So if the SPY goes up first, we have a greater chance of heading down? No. You already confirmed divergence. If the SPY goes up, then that's just saying up, right? Seeing the MACD cross up means the momentum is going up. You're not trying to call some kind of top, right? Or at least maybe you are. Maybe that's the game you like to play. Me, a lot of the time, I try to call bottoms, right? But I don't try to call tops because they're very, very difficult. It's very difficult to know how a top will behave because most of the time the market is bullish. So it's much easier to call bottoms than it is to call actual tops. But if you're paying attention to the right moments, you can pay attention to it and say, okay, this, if it just went up to the daily expected move and then crossed down, that could be a top, a short-term top. That is where the 2-hour could start to turn down. It could start to turn down now. This is not turned up yet. So right now, this is actually still just sideways behavior, right? But if I see something curl up and I immediately think that is going to make a divergence, the market is going, you're trying to prove yourself right. You're not trying to have the market prove something and then you react to it, right? If I see every single time I see a waviness like this on the MACD and it curls up and I say every single time that happens in the price action, I'm going to go make that divergence, right? That's going to happen every single time. And that's how I like to trade. That's going to be a problem over time. Those divergences don't just form every single time there's a second curl up, right? I want to make sure that not here. Here, I just know this is bullish. It could just go through the roof. I want to see it curl down, confirm down, confirm down. That starts to add up to weakness, right? The weakness can form. You can see the weakness forming, but you have to make sure that things are confirming, especially on the shorter time frames. Dailies, even 2 hours, using the correct probable levels, right? The monthly expected moves, weekly expected moves, 95% lines in the sand, right? That's a different story. But a 30-minute chart is something you have to be very reactive to. And if this curls up, I'm not always assuming immediately and betting on the fact that it's going to make a divergence because you don't know if that is going to happen. And if you do know exactly, if you 100% know that that's going to happen, then, you know, make a website and sell your crystal ball because you can make a ton of money from everyone else by them just being like, oh, okay, there is going to be a divergence here, right? We say that divergence is highly probable in certain areas because of our expected moves, right? That's saying it's higher probability. That's not saying it's 100%. Tesla trying to curl up. Let's go check on Tesla real quick. There we go, 30-minute here. Curled up. It failed once already. It failed once already. Now it's curling up again. What can happen here? All right, that's the thing. 2 hour, not curled down. So is this bearish right now? Was that big drop really, really bearish? Yeah, momentum's saying not so much. Momentum's curling up on a 30-minute, already has. Momentum is saying I would rather right now be going up. Does that mean 30 minutes later we can't start heading down and we can't curl down and we can't break these lows and then we curl down to here? No, it just means I have to be reactive. The market is proving something different than what I think is happening, right? It proves and it says, I'm going up. Then it proves and says, I'm actually going to go down. This is a fake out. How do you react? But this is very nice for Tesla. What do you need? You need this to get up to those levels, right? And then you're probably looking at an hourly chart and just going, what's this look like? It's probably by the center line. It's probably about to curl up. Boom, it curls up. Do you have the opportunity to make divergence? Well, I'd probably be watching my RSI, but this means what could happen here? Is this just a slanted? Is this just slanted in some way? And you're going to see something like that. That would be a very good way for that to head higher and be volatile. So right now it's pointing up, which means I should expect up until something changes, right? That's more the expectation. It's like, I should expect that whatever is going on right now to continue until something changes. Yeah, so the SPY actually shows you some reasons here, right? The reason that we can actually talk about this and say, okay, this looks sort of like a double top is because you have confirmation here. You have confirmation here. You had confirmation here. You have given up that confirmation for the time being. So what do we say? I'll give you a little taste of the course, right? For 30-minute trades, what chart do I like to look at? 15-minute. This is about the management of the trade. Well, if the 30-minute is going to keep going down, what can't happen? Well, the 15-minute can't curl up. The 15-minute curled up. So that says, oh, okay, this actually is going the wrong way right away. Maybe my timing is off. So if the 15-minute can curl back down, maybe I want to be back in. Well, it confirmed right back down. So what is the most likely or best position or say even short-term trade to technically be in right now? Well, according to your MACD, not your RSI, but just according to your MACD, not according to your price action, just according to your MACD, I'm going to say it again, that is saying we still have downward momentum here, and this isn't strong enough to say, yes, we've gotten out of the woods. Okay, do you see how we read into that? It's very, very nice. So this still, at this exact moment, is saying down is more likely than up. Nothing has changed since this moment for the 15. That's the management of risk, right? And then if the 30-minute curls up, we go, okay, this can be a little stronger. It depends on how much time you want. This, I could have made a lot more money. It just depends on your comfortability. I like to extend out time because I'm aware that stocks can do crazy things. It's just this time ended up being lucky. Don't think that this happens every single time when you see a divergence, right? Sometimes it goes like this, goes down to that point again, and then you see something. Sometimes it goes like this, then you see that point up here, then it consolidates, then it goes up. So if during this time I took a 0 DTE and it went like this and then curled back down, that 0 DTE is now worthless, right? So what I like to do is still, even if it's just this, I take 2 weeks to up to 8 weeks out. And lately I've been doing 4 weeks at a minimum, even with just a 30-minute divergence. I'm doing 4 weeks at a minimum. If I would have done 2 weeks, I would have made a lot more money, right? But if I think that way, then I'll start to ignore the reason that I'm doing further out expiration. The reason I'm doing further out expiration is because this has been very volatile, and it didn't say we had to just experience a 1% moment. We did. I got lucky, right? Because I was just expecting this to come back into here. Guess what? It did something crazy and went up to a weekly expected move and bursted through a daily and saw a 1% moment. So hell yeah, taking profit in some way. leaving some runners maybe. Does that make sense, not Navin? I'm trying to read into your thing and see. Okay. Yeah, things don't have to do these things, right? You're always aware of risk. But the thing is, don't be too aware of risk that you see a good thing happening and you say, that's bad, right? You see a good thing happening, this 30-minute curls up, and you go, that's a bad thing. That's a good thing, right? If this 30-minute curls up here, that's how it gets to the weekly expected move. And that's how we get really back on the bull side, is we get up to there, right? But as of right now, I have confirmation for downside. I have not seen that confirm back up, which tells me that still there is downside risk. And we looked at the 15-minute. If that 15-minute curls up, things might change. There's a million different ways to do it. And I always like to just be like, okay, if I just be patient, wait for a good thing below key areas like a monthly expected move. Look at this. If you just sat around all month and you just sat there just for a couple of weeks and you said, okay, I'm just going to wait and see because things are very volatile. See if we get outside of this monthly. Oh, crap. We headed down to the 2 standard deviation. But what am I looking for? I'm looking for a signal outside of this monthly for a good trade. Okay, awesome. What do I see? Divergence. Okay, boom. Confirms on this bar. 501. Okay, awesome. Bam, get a little lucky. Thank you. Right? It's not going to happen like that all the time. So say thank you. And one thing I would say about, trying to short both ways is you don't have to make money like every single day, right? You can wait for structure to form. Is the big trade here? Is this the big trade for a short? Right? Is that for sure going to happen? What if we just squeeze? Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. I'm not big. I'm big on, potentially hedging maybe. But am I big on, and you do what you want to do? But me, myself, once I see squeeze-like behavior, and once we get to key levels, I'm very, very hesitant to take big short positions during a potential short squeeze. That's all. That's great, not napping. And I think you're bringing up some great stuff. Leaps only, right? SH33 doing things differently than me, and I think that's awesome. Doesn't want to be trapped, so he understands that it can be more complex bottoms. This could still have a more complex bottom soon, right? This could still get to this area and then curl right back down. But if it curls up, that's exactly what you would see to get to this. So saying, oh, this curls up, it has to make a divergence, is just trying to guess. Like, that's just guessing. Right? I try not to guess. I try to make the plan for if it happens, but I'm not guessing. I'm not shorting here or anything like that. I might take a hedge there if I think that's possible. It's just a hedge, right? But I already have a hedge, so I'm chilling. Yeah. So there's a lot to it. Like, I know that I try to make it very simple, but at the same time, there's a lot that goes into trading. Like, there's a lot of decision making that people just don't necessarily give credibility to. Right? I can predict things based on how much I know about these probabilities, and I can predict how it would move if there's a risky thing and how it would move if there's a very bullish thing. I mean, I like TradingView. I've loved TradingView for a long time. The thing is, if you have TradingView, if you get TradingView and you turn this off, you turn this off, this is all you need to trade in my book. If you can get really good at this, you can be a fantastic trader. You just have to practice a lot of patience. Right? All you have to do is wait for your confirmations. You can be a great trader. And if you understand environments you're in. If this is giving a potential bottoming signal and we just did a 1% moment and then we saw a big buy come in and we see a higher low, is it great for me to short saying that's going to crash, crash, crash? It might be. Maybe that's my decision making. Maybe this is where I hedge because I think short squeeze or something like that, right? But this is all you need. You need price. In my book, right? From what I would say is if I have price action, monthly and weekly expected moves, a MACD and an RSI, it's everything I need right there. This isn't my. I think I do have a code not nav, and I just never shout it out there. I usually shout it out during the sale time. It's free though. It's free though, but I do have a code. I don't put it in the chat. But there is an annual sale that I'm going to put my code out for because I like people to be aware of it. I think a couple people actually grabbed it with my code. So that's very cool. But yeah, this is literally all you need. Now, if you want a little bit more, right? You want to know things a little bit more. Okay, then pop these things up. And I would say you could even do this. Delete, delete, delete. Right? Maybe you just have a 9-day because that's really tracking your signal line here for the MACD. Right? That's your average line for the MACD. Your MACD is the blue line. The average line will be the orange line. Okay, so I look at that and I go, okay, awesome. So now I have a little bit more help. That means if I see this, I need to also see the price action close above the 9, and that can help me make a decision. And boom, you notice, boom, that just had everything. It had RSI, it had MACD, it had the price action. Perfect level to say, wow, this is confirming. This is great. And then you go, okay, now I'm not I have a daily expected move here. That's probably where I should expect it to go for the day. For the week, yeah, the weekly expected move. Guess what? We get there within like 2 hours, 3 hours. So you go, okay, that was something crazy for the day. That's probably, the most likely thing is to pull back after seeing that because we're hitting a weekly expected move, right? Once you get better and better, the decision making gets easier and easier. Palantir actually caught a bid. Do you see that? That's great. Okay, Palantir actually caught it. Palantir doing something crazy, now confirming up on the 30-minute. What does that mean? Now, I have weekly expected moves. So if this is going to do something crazy, then we better see this go like that. We better see something good here, right? And keep doing positive things. Because if this just goes like that and then drops again, well, now you have triple divergence, right? We see the triple divergence forming. So we have the thing to react to now, right? If this 30-minute curls back down, it says there is weakness. There is definitely weakness. Triple divergence matters more than just a regular one. GME, for the time being, still the same things, right? Same things we were talking about. Look at this one, divergence, right? We were talking about GME. We're treating it very simply. We can just leave that 9-day up, or 9 on the 30-minute. And we'll see what's that doing. Right now it's crossing up. Ooh, if that crosses up on a green bar, that says, hey, what can we do? We can head to $29, $28.99. But if that's going to not be able to get there, this is going to confirm back down. And if that confirms back down, what do you have? You have a more significant divergence right now if that would turn back down right now. So if you reject here, that would be a sign of weakness at the high. This means that over time here, GME is showing more and more and more weakness, which means the 2-hour is probably about to pull all the way down to $23.50. $23.50 to $24 is where I'd be paying attention. Now, it can hold up better than that. That'd be great. Hold up at the gap and then turn up. That's fine. But I know now that the 2-hour has a high likelihood to turn down if this 30-minute confirms up and confirms back down. So for the time being, if the 30-minute curls up, you would say, hey, that weekly expected move, let's see if we can get there and wipe out divergence. But if that divergence confirms, then that's the exact opposite. And it would say we're pulling back to here or potentially here. I give it to you straight with GME. I'm not going to be that guy that just says, oh, the daily chart is curling up and it looks great. No, I look at the inner workings in there and I understand daily momentum can take over, but I still go with the most probable things. I like to go with the most probable things with what I'm seeing at this exact moment. What matters is what's happening right now. I think 520 is a great level to pay attention to for the SPY. I think 520 would be fantastic. But I think you might go through something to shake people completely out. What's the PCC? PCC coming down to those lower levels again, starting to go to the call side. We're not seeing much, right? We're seeing volatility kind of wipe itself out here. We're not seeing the 2-hour confirm back up. This is starting to look a little squeezy. The hourly is still confirmed up, but the 30-minute is starting to turn down. So this is starting to look more and more like squeeze. That means we probably have to run into problems, I would say, in the next couple of hours, or else this thing could end up at a weekly expected move upside. EU, good looking out, Willow. EU pauses countermeasures against US tariffs to allow space for talks. Hey, good sign. Remember what we said? Look for the big boys to react. EU and China. Either one of those react, you're going to get a big reaction here in the market. If it's not a retaliation or it's a good deal for both sides. Triple on the 4-hour for NU. See, you see the 30-minute, you see the problems that can ensue, but no problems yet, right? Nothing's confirmed down. 2 hours still confirmed up. This is giving me a weird feeling, seeing that. That's giving me a weird feeling. That's all I'll say about that. And we're heading into the gap fill, so pullbacks are definitely possible. But daily scale, as of right now, you're saying there's good divergence. Look at that thing, man. If you really extend it out, you could say it's an extended one, but there is triple divergence here. And that means good things. The other thing that's very good for NU right now, I want you to look at this. Expansion. Little bit of expansion. Little bit of expansion. Tighter, tighter, tighter. Get tighter, get tighter, and then see a big expansive move again. See another one of these. See another one of these. Yeah, I think that's very good that you have really contracted here. I think that plenty of people are probably doing this. They're probably starting to do this. And see that you're breaking out. So retests will be available. And then they're probably connecting this, and then they extend that out to here. And you would say overall, you're maybe in a falling wedge. And you would say, hey, they'd probably mark this and go, okay. So if you're taking the most significant probably for the time being, it would be that. And you're breaking out, which means what? Which means we probably go to this type of area, then we curl down, we see that pull back, and then we curl to the upside. Very good. I like it. Get some kind of retest. I don't mind that. Thank you for showing it off. As of right now, the 15-minute would say it's trying to contradict the 30-minute. That's for sure for the SPY. Still saying pull back at this moment for the 30-minute. See if it changes. Tesla is saying upside. Tesla's 30-minute is saying upside. We're going to make an attempt to break out. See what happens. We keep seeing these little mini breakouts, and it's very controlled. So this could still just be flagging, 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 curls down, right? 2-hour chart. 2-hour chart curls down. Hey, you're probably seeing an ABC type of thing here. I'll take it to this point. And we'll take it from, let's take it from the resistance here. We would say, okay, well, we can go fill that gap. We can maybe high or low this thing. We'll see. We're going down, down, nah, 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 nah. We're going down. We're going up. Look at that. It's going up right now. We'll look at a 15. 15 might show you something, right? 15 is what we can look at for now. Keeps curling down, curling up. Actually, right now it's curled down, so maybe you're right. Exactly. Willow's pointing out good things, and he just gave you a piece of that, right? EU pauses countermeasures against U.S. tariffs to allow space for talks. It's a good thing. India, U.S. to begin discussion on a bilateral trade agreement this week as tariff war takes 90-day pause. There you go. Not Nav and appreciating the news plugs. We like it. I actually don't know SH33. I'm just trying to pay attention to signals because if we're going to see a big move down, we are going to see the 2-hour cross down. That's all we're watching for. I do like it, Willow. I like it too. It's just I've never, I really just ignored that. What's wrong with NVIDIA? It's stuck. What's wrong with it is people aren't making a decision to buy or sell yet. But right now, the 15-minute is suggesting up makes more sense than down. The 30-minute might contradict that, right? The 30-minute is saying something a little bit different. So you have a 15-minute contradicting a 30-minute. I trust 30-minute charts more. So if I see a 30-minute curl up here, that's where it gets a lot different for me. I feel like my wife should be back by now. It's been what? Her appointment started like over an hour ago. I thought it was just some. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully she's getting what she needs. Because Shotty has it rough. She can barely breathe. She sounds like Darth Vader in bed. It's awful. Mr. Chow, thank you so much for subscribing. And Vic, thank you so much for subscribing as well this morning. Appreciate you guys being here. It's under warm weather. Well, that's the thing where we're at. It goes from, 80 degrees to 50 degrees to 90 degrees to 60 degrees to 40 degrees to 60 degrees to 80 degrees. It's back and forth. So what I'm trying to get across is it was warm yesterday. Today's a cold day, so that's unfortunate. Yeah, she has terrible allergies. This is always what we go through during this time. It's not unusual. Oh, pollen season, yay. What happened to Netflix? Oh, let's see. What happened to Netflix? Had great structure and was curled up on it. Do you see this? Look, it's curled up on a 30-minute. And then you see a little red bar at the end of the day and you go, that's going to be horrible. It's not confirmed down. It could have got bad. But the signal overall was suggesting it's going to remain good. What did the 2 hours say? Was the 2 hour confirmed down? No. 2 hours said this is perfectly fine. Your 2 hour never said down. Your 30-minute said up at the end. Often follows exactly what you teach in class. Well, it's just a time where you start to more so pay attention to bottoms than say another massive drop. Now, it can produce another massive drop, but you see how the time that I showed off that it produced a massive drop was short-lived. I mean, it was 20% pretty quick, or 14%. I think it was 14% in 22 days. That's decently quick. I think it might have been more than that, maybe 20%, but 22 days. Okay, awesome. 22 days. You're telling me that I can be 22 days away from a bottom when that death cross happens, or maybe much closer. That's awesome. It tells me that throughout history, more so during those times, we'll see a bounce or a bottom form very, very soon when the death cross does happen. Sometimes it's worse, but most of the time it's not. So do I pay attention to sometimes, or do I pay attention to most of the time? I pay attention to most of the time, right? And the good thing is, around those times, if you had monthly expected moves, you probably could have seen what was going on a little bit. All right, let's go into a 15, though. So the 15-minute direction saying, I'm trying to go up again. So we can pay attention maybe to 548.92 soon. Right, this will be confirming back up on a 15. This is contradicting your 30-minute. Wouldn't that have been awesome, Embrew? You had like a monthly expected move in your 95% line, and you just go tag that, and you go, well, we've seen something crazy. Death crosses lead to a bottom like within that month most of the time. Let's see what happens. Exactly, and Willow, that's why I'm not like too excited about it. I'm just like, oh God, earnings could just ruin that right away. Please check HIMS. Yeah, that's why I don't do day trading on those shorter time frames, because they can do crazy stuff. This is going to be 30-minute pull back, maybe? Did it pull back enough? Ooh, just rejected. So maybe 15-minute was your friend, but 30-minute never crossed back down. That's great. 15-minute was able to curl back up. Even if you're getting bearish and you took a bearish bet here, the 15-minute curls up, you should be going, ooh, that could see some upside, and we need to get to these levels. Looks good. Is it safe? Is it 100% safe? No, look where the 2 hours at. Now you've made all those divergences. You've held the floor with some higher lows. So I think it's less likely to really see a big drop. But if the 2 hour crosses down and volatility is behind it, ooh. See if you hold these points, if that happens. It's not suggesting that's happening right now, though, just so you're aware. The 2 hour is not even overbought. This thing could just keep going. You needed to break through here for sure. And then you obviously need to get to 31.42 right in here. You take that back, you use that as support. Ooh, you're looking pretty damn good for HIMS. Daily chart. No divergence beneath you, but a daily chart able to curl up. So if a daily chart's curling up, where could it get to? Well, we'd actually be looking at 38, right? It's just we see where the bottom side of that is. You're looking at like kind of a zone, right? You're looking at that like a zone, right? You're taking the top of this, the bottom of this, and you're saying, okay, that could run into some problems. So if you went boom, 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 that's probably how it goes higher. Just you have to make sure those actual moments are happening, and you're going to run into earnings at that point. So might be a little rough there, but we'll leave that zone up. Doesn't look bad. Looks like a daily curl up. It's pretty negative, so just be aware that if this remains lackluster, right? Notice that, what did we do the last time we wanted to see another drop? Well, you dropped out of the zone. Then you put that wick in there, and then you went lower. So if we go like this, and then we just reject, we could go lower. What we look for then, ooh, daily divergence would be a nice. We would say thank you. If daily divergences pop up, we're happy. It's just about managing risk in between that. Not trying to get overzealous with a play or something. Did the 15-minute, was that able to curl up? Ooh, I think it failed. I think it failed on your MACD. Price action says yes, but look at the failure from the MACD there. It was curled up, now it's not. Yeah, it doesn't look bad. It's got solid 2 hour floors. A lot of volatility though for him, so day trading will be very different from position trading there. Being a 0DT degen is how I get my cardio in. Facts. Get that blood pumping. Nothing gets the blood flowing like 0DT trades. See, RWD. In daily scale here. And if I see daily divergence, I like to use 4 hours if I want to take some risk, by the way. Oh, it looks like we looked at this in the past. That's good. Yeah, that's... Yeah, we'll give it daily divergence. Very good to be testing this level. Now, one thing about this that I'm noticing is... Yeah, the right shoulder that could have been. So you see this? All right, we see this. So if we see weakness confirm up here in any way, we could go make that right shoulder that could have been, which would be some kind of pull down to maybe 340, right? This right here, this right here, this over here, that never formed. So if we're getting excited and we still need to go do that and grab some liquidity, we look at our 30-minute, we see that there's some weakness. We see that we're wiping out the first divergence point. That's great. See if it's multiple point. That means for me, I might even be looking at a 15-minute, and if the 15-minute confirms down here, I'd be reacting. But as of right now, this looks great, right? Can it keep going, right? And then can we extend, get that as 15-minute pullback? So for now, 15-minute crosses down. I think that's a sign of weakness. The 30-minute would curl right back down. So that's how this forms. But this looks very, very good so far. If you can just remain in this area or burst through and start to see those supports come in, that'd be a good sign. Crowd work from the daily chart, though, yes, you have confirmed daily divergence. It does not mean you don't get 2 hour pullbacks. Very nice. We even confirmed up, by the way. We're trying to on the SPY. That'll be interesting. What do we do? 15, right? 15. So 15 never confirmed back up. So downside, downside, downside is still suggested. Yes, my first ETF calls are green. We had a huge dump. Just now? What? That's how we know we look at money differently when people consider this a huge dump right now. It's a matter of perspective, though. People trade differently, right? That's why we're not telling you exactly how to trade. We're telling you very, very useful things to help out your trading style, whatever you come up with that's comfortable for you, your risk and all that stuff. That's what the course teaches you. Here we go, though. This 15-minute is suggesting downside. Now we have to see if we can get more downside and see a 2-hour cross. One man's huge is another man's average. They're looking at the 1-minute chart. Exactly, Rustin. And that's not my game, right? I barely look at a 15. I just think it's helpful for the time being. Now it's massive, right? Right. Siri. I do want to keep my eye on the hints over here. Let me go over here. Apple. Apple was one of those hints, right? Curling down, curling down, curling down, rejecting off of the monthly. Use those monthly and weekly expected moves, okay, Patreon members? What do we have here? Microsoft, that was our hint. Let's go look at some of these hints. Let's see what's happening as we're getting some red here. Well, the 30 minutes still suggesting down. GME, uh-oh, what if that, is that gonna fail? Uh-oh, maybe look at a 15 there. AMC already confirmed the divergence down, suggesting very possible to the downside. Palantir, nice move up, right? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, double top at the high. Weekly expected move. We'll see. More probable to pull back if this would cross back down. Not cross down yet. Volatility. We can look at volatility on the hourly chart. Hourly chart is still curled up. If we really want to get into the nitty-gritty, we would say the 15-minute curls up here and bad things can happen. Starting to curl up, but hasn't confirmed yet on the MACD. Price action RSI. Hey, if that's what you like to react to, it's your game, right? What's the other hints out there, right? We were looking at, wasn't it Google? Let's look at Google. Google, 30-minute divergence at the high. What happened? Never confirmed back up. This is saying downside as of right now. This is saying 2-hour pullback as of right now is very probable. Has it happened yet? Has Google confirmed on the 2-hour yet? No. Is it trying to with the price action? Is it trying to with the RSI? How quickly do you want to react? What's the risk tolerance, right? Because this could not confirm at all and reject and turn right back up. But what is your risk tolerance? Microsoft as well. No 2-hour curl down, but the 30-minute divergence showing up here. Not even able to go up to that high. Confirm back down. If you wanted to look at the 15-minute that curled up and curled back down, where is it? Really close to the center line. That is suggesting a 15-minute lower high. Now, is that going to be massive volatility, or is that just going to retest maybe into breakout areas right here? NVIDIA, let's go look at that. Hey, still holding up well, but if the 15-minute curls down, not a good sign. 30-minute says what? 30-minute says still curled down. No positivity just yet. SoFi, I see some negativity there. 30-minute is curled up. Is curled up. This is still saying up. It's not even confirmed on the RSI, right? Not even confirmed with the price action. Not even trying to confirm yet. Very nice. AVGO going up for these levels again. Uh-oh, not that good of a look. But if the 30-minute curls up, you see how that would get positive all of a sudden. But this looks very controlled. Or at least another dip down to where? Well, maybe down into here. Maybe down a little deeper. Maybe down to fill this gap. JP Morgan, another one of our hints, still curled down, but by the center line, right? If this curls up, that could mean positivity. 15-minute, though, it's going up into these highs again. What's happening? Well, if I don't click things incorrectly, the 15-minute is curled up. So I have to see when that starts to shift down. As of right now, it's only happening on the RSI, not even with the price action. It's just sitting on that 9. So now we've gone through a lot of them and we go, okay, there is potential weakness here, right? If the 15-minute curls down for Tesla, potential weakness. Look for 2 hours to confirm down. Look for 2 hours to confirm down. That's all we're doing. So we can dig into a 15-minute. We can watch it a little closer, but overall, this is just sideways, right? Overall, just sideways. Gap up. Okay, we're in a little bit of a range, it seems. We keep doing this all week. It's going to ruin some options. But let's check on it. Not bad. IWM. Uh-oh, that's a 15-minute divergence. If that confirms, that's going to be a problem. But what if some good news randomly comes out? Man, that would be insane. Good. All right, we're chilling. So because I have IWM is the thing that I hold. So I'm paying attention to this very closely, getting set up in case something confirms here. This is enough to convince me that this is going to fade, right? This is enough to convince me, hey, the 2 hour has too high of a probability for me to be comfortable with. Even though I have a hedge, I can still choose whether or not I want to sell that in a little bit. So I'm preparing myself in case that moment does come. So I'll be watching the 15-minute and seeing if this crosses back down. The reason that I want to make sure to be paying attention to this at this moment is because it's still positive, right? This wouldn't even be a loss, right? This would be overall a 15% gain, right? So I just want to I'm just talking about my decision making and how I can be totally wrong. The IWM could just do this for a brief moment and I'll be like, yeah, I was good to do that. And then it could curl up and then I could be right back in the move, right? And then I could get rid of my hedge and then I could do this. But for the time being, it looks like IWM is one that could head to lower levels. Patreon members, can you help me out? Did we post the monthly expected 95% lines in the same? I believe we did. I might go check. Can we see 533 today? Yes, that is very probable. That is a very probable number that is possible to see. It is within your 68% area. We need to test 5,300. I think 5,300. I think 5,200. I really like, but 5,300, 530 is a key level, and it's really where you have a good concentration of stuff, right? This red line right next to the yellow line. So that's right where we want to go. Kind of a breakout area that got retested too, right on that daily expected move downside. So this would be a great level to get to for the SPY to get a test. And then we have to see what happens. So yeah, Kalani, 533 is within the realm of possibility for sure. It's in your 68% zone. And right now, the 15-minute would suggest that that is very probable. See if it changes. I'm not a 0DTE guy. So he definitely went down. Stockfather Senior, just breaking news on the EU tariffs. Yeah, Willow pointed that out. Very, very good stuff. We'll see what happens with it. But, you know, how does negotiation work? Well, you usually don't just sit down at the table and everything's dandy right away, especially with something as complex as tariffs, right? There's going to be some push and pull from both sides. They're both fighting for their people to get good deals on things. I'm not expecting it just to be, they come to the table, everything's dandy, right? There's going to be mixtures of things happening most likely, and sometimes it'll be bullish, sometimes it'll be bearish. We just have to pay attention to what's going on. I'm looking for that really, really simple, slightly bad news that people just overreact to, right? I want people to get slightly bad news, some news they're not expecting, and completely overreact. And then if they overreact, oh boy, I'm going to be a happy little camper. Let's put it that way. Well, 533 would technically just be like, I would say 534 more likely, right, Willow? If we just end up holding this as a range, 534 I think would be very good. But I think 533 just as treating it like in the realm of more probable is perfectly fine. By the time we get to 533, though, by the time you get down to here, you're probably going to go to 530 or 529. We'll see. And Willow, I think the way to see it is anything in those red lines is good. If you see bad news, like you're suggesting bad news, I think we see the overreaction. $536. Oh yeah, 536. Oof, I might have to say 535.50, but yeah. 535.60, 535.50. Nothing too bad just yet. Holding up very, very well. Now Navin saying, Ta, good morning, brother. 530 is the 1.618 on the daily SPY, and the 528 is the 0.5 fib. Yeah, so you see more information leading to that level. We'll see if it gets there. I'm not going to actively take a massive short position or anything like that. I'm just more looking at this as, hey, I have my hedge. If I want to hang on to that hedge, and then do I want to do the reactionary thing of saying, hey, I can always reposition, right? I can be out for a moment with IWM and be right back in. I actually do need to have IWM up over here. What am I doing? I'm slacking. Nothing to be worried about just yet, though. 30 minutes still curled up. I think it's just the 15-minute trend. Yeah, 15-minute isn't even curled down for IWM, so good stuff. Multi-talented. MSTR. Barca, I'm going to look on my other screen real quick. MSTR. You're saying hourly chart is what you're liking to look at right now? Okay, so for MicroStrategy, I almost said Microsoft. For MicroStrategy, you have confirmed 15-minute divergence. Now, I'm not the biggest 15-minute divergence guy, so I'm going to look on the 30-minute. You are holding triple divergence for your RSI pretty flat. So it is suggesting that a regular behavior here would be a 2-hour pullback could happen. And you're at the area where that would happen. Now, where would you pull back to? Well, probably something like 282, maybe even all the way down to 274. Or to fill that gap. I don't know if that got filled. Yeah, it didn't get filled. So gap fill at 272.57. So if we pull this over, what I'm paying attention to is good structure. Don't you want good structure? Right? Structure is what made this move happen. Look at this. Boom, boom, boom. Now, we haven't seen that full move yet, but maybe we need to reload because it's going to be a big one. And we go to like this, and then we curl back up. Now, I would need to see that 2-hour confirmed down. I would need to see the 30-minute overall tell me like, hey, I'm going negative, and maybe I can use the 15-minute as my hint. And right now, the 15-minute is suggesting that the 15-minute is suggesting here that the 30-minute is not going to be able to curl up at this moment. Now that can change, right? If this flips back up, it's going to be a very back and forth kind of game. This is why I'm not trying to actively like short. We have seen good things happen. But if I had MSTR, I would be looking at these swings and saying, hey, what's most likely to turn down the 2-hour chart? Now, you said hourly. So for the hourly, you were talking about, let's see, MSTR, dumpster fire. Where the heck is MSTR? MSTR bearish divergence on the 1 hour and 30-minute. I would say 30-minute. I would not say hourly. I want you to get in the habit of, if it's a little bit close, blow it up. Because you're going to start to see what? This is not divergence on your RSI. Now, you can say the buying might not be the best, but it's not divergence. But then you want to say, okay, but I want to see if there's actual divergence. Well, I like 30-minute charts. The 30-minute chart is suggesting this, a lot different story, right? This is higher than that. This is higher than that. Okay, so that's triple divergence. So you are correct on the 30-minute. I would say slightly less or incorrect on the hourly chart, in my opinion, right? Yeah, gap fill is nice. It can keep going, right? These things can keep going. You just want to make sure things are remaining okay. Right? Overall, this is just sideways. Overall, that's good news coming out that EU wants to come to the table. I don't think we've seen any inclination for bad news right now. The T is, do we get a 2-hour pullback or not from these areas? Do we see an upward move then get the 2-hour pullback? That's about it. Like, things can head higher. They definitely can't. When you start to see a squeeze, you're going to see a bearish signal, and then it's going to head to the upside, right? And look at this. Again, people are shorting this right now. So that tells me that my IWM, I don't want to be too hasty in selling this because recipe for a short squeeze is back on the freaking table. If we see weakness, though, then we know, hey, that's probably not going to squeeze, right? For the time being, though, the 2-hour chart has not crossed down. Perhaps need to close that gap on the VIX 4-hour and then go all in. And I think that's the 2-hour reaction you're looking for too. So yeah, I get you. Will it? No idea. I have no idea if it'll go back down to 538. No idea. That is definitely in the realm of possibility for today, yes, but no idea. I am not a mind reader. I think 2-hour pullback. Like I said, right now, do you have things on the 30-minute that prove that? Potentially. But do you have the actual proof that a 2-hour pullback is happening right in front of you? No. This is the actual proof. You don't have that. Oh, of course, of course. Oh, it's in your 68% zone. That's why I mentioned it, money. Money shorts at it. Yeah, it's within the realm of possibility. It's a very close target. So you're potentially looking at little confirmations from 1 minute, 5-minute charts. That's just not necessarily my game, but it is. If it's within these lines, you're going to tell me, you're going to hear me say, like, yeah, that's very probable. It's just, is it probable right now? Well, the 15-minute would suggest, yeah, it's still probable right now. If the 15-minute goes like that and this goes like that, it starts to become a lot less probable for the time being. But right now, 15 minutes is still saying, yeah, man, it can happen. 538, that's just right here, right? Just that low again? Oh, yeah. Do you get on here every day? Yes, yes, we are live. Sorry about yesterday, guys. YouTube was not allowing me to stream. That's why we have Rumble as well. So if you're ever looking for, hey, why is the stream not up today? Usually I notify Patreon if we're having issues. I know my wife's been a little sick with her allergies, but I've been hopping on every single morning, every morning on YouTube, every afternoon for the Power Hour stream on Rumble. And yeah, yesterday we had to hop on Rumble. That's what Rumble's for, right? It's to give us another area. So if YouTube doesn't want to work for me, I don't know why. It happens like once every 2 months that we just see glitches and it won't let me stream. So yeah, we have Rumble for that, and it's great. Allergies are a killer right now, Jagger. You're telling me. Literally, my wife was sleeping and I was trying to fall asleep, and all I hear is, and I turned to her and I poked her and I go, hey, Darth Vader, turn around. What do you do when you've lost your whole account? Well, understand that if I lose my entire account, then I made plenty of issues before then. And maybe the issue to start off was I was trying to start up too early. Stocks are always going to trade. Charts are always going to be there. Right? So don't think it's the end of the world as long, what I would say is work hard to make money the easy way. Money is a lot easier to be made just by putting in time and effort. And I'm not saying time and effort in trading because there's risk there. How much risk do I have to lose money by working at, I don't know. Let's take something very small. Let's go Quick Trip. How much risk do I have to lose money working at Quick Trip? Well, I'd have to look at my expenses and all those things. But it might mean I need a bigger cash pile to make sure I'm doing my risk correctly with position sizing, right? I know it's a bad thing when people blow up an account. I know it's a horrible thing. But in life, when you experience horrible things, they are more so opportunities to advance yourself as a human being. right? Maybe you even come to the conclusion that trading is not for you, and that's perfectly fine. You can still learn a little bit and be able to invest at proper times, right? You can still learn. Maybe I hold stocks forever because time is a very good asset. Time is the best asset according to stocks. Okay, awesome. So I don't necessarily want to take money out, but maybe I want to look for the best points to save money and put it in, right? These are things that you have to ask yourself, and you have to be very honest with yourself, right? So point out the things that you obviously did wrong, very obviously. And the obvious ones are going to be you probably had an inclination to manage a trade. You saw something bad happen, and then you didn't manage the trade, and you said this thing's going to come back, and then it never came back. That is a problem that happens a lot for people. So I know that it's rough to lose it, and I know it's rough to hear it from a guy and be like, hey, you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and stuff like that. But truly, that's the answer: is self-reflection. Self-reflection and understanding, what could I do differently that would make me at a higher probability to be successful? Am I trading too often? Am I zero DTE? Am I trading every day? After a good trade, am I right away trying to make another good trade? Or did I make a really good trade, make $2,000 in a week with a low amount of money, and then did I be patient? Was I patient for another 3 days just to give myself that time to relax and say, do not overtrade, right? There's a lot of things that can be going on. Up to almost 10K after putting in 5K. Okay, so that is a great sign, Tyler. That means you were doing some things right. Environments around trading, they do change. So the environment that you were trading in where you turned 5,000 into 10,000 was probably a good environment for you. And what a good thing to do is notice when the environment has changed, right? Sometimes it would be this, right? How fast did I double that money? What if I turned $5,000 into $10,000 in a week? Do you think, what would your mentality be like? Would it be, oh, now I can turn 10,000 into 20,000 next week, and then I can turn 20,000 into 40,000 next week? Or would a better mentality be, I turned $5,000 to $10,000 in this month? What am I seeing in front of me right now, and how could the next opportunity to make that another $5,000 growth be a good thing? Hey, now that I have $10,000, I don't necessarily need to risk $5,000 behind every trade. Maybe I'm trying to make too much money too fast. Maybe I'm not paying attention to the risk management in my position size. I was in way too many positions when it went south. Okay, this is something that I had to tackle, Tyler. This actually really helped me. So I have a pretty limited list. And a lot of people probably think that I take like 10 positions when I see a bottom and I see a good signal, and I take a position for the SPY. I take a position to short volatility. I take a position for Apple. I take a position for Amazon. I take a position for Microsoft and Google. I take all these positions. I take a position for JP Morgan, and then I hold on to AMC and GME. And I have all those things going on. I used to do that. And I thought I was somehow like diversifying in some way. What actually helped me, and I'm not saying it'll be the same for you, but something that really helped me was, instead of taking multiple things, focus on two. Get two that you really, really think will be successful, and then make a plan for just those two. It'll be able to keep everything way more straight. Two. That's what I did. I was going through a time where I would take 6 different positions on 6 different stocks. 4 of them would go up, 2 of them wouldn't work out, and I would always say the 2 are going to come back. And then at the end of the day, instead of just taking the 2 that I really, really liked and just focusing on those and making sure those are successful, it ended up being a lot of the time break even or barely a win, because only 4 went up and 2 went down, which means I'm going to be positive, but those 2, depending on what they do, can really drag me down. So what I like to do is focus on 2. And if 1 starts to go wrong, I sell 1. And then I have 1. And then I'm maybe successful in that. I hit target, I take profit, I'm done. Wait a couple of days. Give yourself the buffer, right? If you are someone who's trying to trade too often, make sure that you're seeing the thing that made you successful the last time happening in front of you again, or similar to it. Yeah, diversificate. You could just do the SPY. You're right. You're spot on to Mad Dog. I've never utilized footprint charts, really. I would even have to research into it to really see. Are these just like the daily the daily volume levels? I mean, you might like Mike Schwartz then. Mike Schwartz utilizes this, I believe. I don't use it necessarily. Things that I don't see as useful for my trading, I usually don't pay too much attention to. If you haven't noticed, that's why I'm very like one lane. I'm very like maybe 3 lanes, and that's it. I try not to veer too far off from what my strategies are, which is overall swing trading in bullish times and overall looking for those divergences in more volatile times. But you can mix the two together, which is how you get number 3, which is fantastic. So volume profiles, everything like that, I used to utilize. I noticed it did not bring the most benefit to my trading, and that's it, right? Good stuff. Very good stuff. We'll see when wifey comes back, and I'll have to it increases the chances to Mad Dog of making a mistake, but it also increases the chances of missing something, right? Am I able to look at 12 charts at the same time and trade all of them perfectly at the same time? Holy crap, that's difficult for me, and I bounce around very quickly. Like if I'm looking at 12 different trades at the same time is what I'm talking about, by the way. If I'm looking at 12 trades at the same time, what if I miss one reaction and I'm like, oh crap, that was my management of the trade. And I look back, 30 minutes later and it's down 2%. And then bam, I'm just like, damn, oh crap. He's paid to kick and scream. The orange man, don't be that guy. Yeah. I'd say the biggest balls, man, because this is ballsy to try to do. Okay. So Jonathan, there you go. You're like, I'm hoping for that upside, but maybe I'm comfortable with a small hedge taking that 3 times leverage volatility. He got the biggest balls of them all. Maybe not. They're probably shriveled up by now. Well, no, that is because I bought a house, so I'm not going to have any extra money at all to get it back in. To get it back, like to get it back. I would rather you act like a caterpillar right now. I think that would be better. I think giving yourself that moment. Okay, here's the thing. So what does a smart person do versus a dumb person do when gambling? What does an addict do versus a person who's not an addict do when gambling? Let's just do that because we are working with probabilities. Well, the true gambler, the bad reaction person would say, I'm getting it back right away. I need to get it back right away. The good person would be, it's not my time. I already wasted some money. I don't want to lose anymore. I'm going to save some, and then I'll come back with the extra $500 that I make after a good work week and try it next week. Right? That's just a little bit better. Now, that's not the best analogy in the world, but it's overall like if I'm in the mindset of getting money back, I don't think that's the best mindset, in my opinion. I think the better mindset is I want the next trade to be a successful one. And then after that, I want to do things differently to make the next trade have a high probability of success. The point is to put yourself in high probabilities of success. The point is, I just saw this. Okay, awesome. I took that. I just saw this. Okay, awesome. It curled up. I'm taking that. Nothing's really gone terribly wrong yet. So I'm holding on to it. This goes wrong. Okay, I'll be out. And then if this randomly went like this and I missed out, am I going to chase that? Or am I going to say, okay, let me look for the next trade? Well, we could react up to here, curl down, and then you have the next trade, right? It's more about patience. It's more about understanding, is it an actual opportunity or am I trying to make money really fast? You really got to have that conversation with yourself. You got to be like, am I trying to get rich quick? Like, just ask yourself that question. Are my decisions pretty sporadic? That's a good way to look at it, right? Am I really making decisions really fast all the time? Or did I plan this out this entire time? Did we plan this out? When this dropped like this, did we say, look for that reaction, look for a divergence forming down here? Yeah, we talked about it here. We talked about it here. We talked about it here. And then we put out a Patreon video here when it was confirming. Right? Awesome. I thought there'd be V-shape. So I actually started scaling in here. And then I got in more here. And then we see that. But I had to experience a loss for a little bit of time. Let's not act like I'm perfect, right? Once I saw this, I had to get out of the risk in case we kept going. But once I saw us get down to here, I go risk to reward, scale in. Boom. All right. Risk to reward, scale in. Now I have a divergence. That's the actual trade setup. I could have been patient and just waited for this the whole time, though, is what I'm saying. Right? Is what I'm seeing right now a great opportunity? Well, the daily scale's been beat up for a long time and it's starting to confirm up. You know what I don't do? I don't usually short if the daily scale is turned up green here on your MACD. I don't do that. Once I see that, I go, I don't want to be short because daily momentum can just take this. But I have a hedge. A hedge is a lot different than a short, right? It's not a thing I'm trying to make money truly off of. It's just a small position to counteract if my long position suffered. I can change it into a money-making opportunity, but so it's just a matter of decision making. And if I realize my decision making wasn't good over this type of price action, then I might want to change. Was it good here though? Okay, awesome. Then I need to look for more things like this. Double down on your strengths, get rid of your weaknesses. You could wait around all year long and wait for this, and it'll probably show up outside of a monthly expected move. It'll probably show up 4 times. It'll probably show up about 4 times. And if you see those 4 times and you understand how to position around it and you understand managing risk, you will win more than you lose. The hell are you guys laughing about? The willow indicator is exclusive to Rumble, actually. Patience and time, patience and time. Have you watched 20 lotto stock videos, turn around 3 times, and then you can get access? What? Is that some like spell? Some kind of spell on you, Richard. Oh, to the willow indicator. Stock sideways, VIX down, everyone loses. Dubs, that IV, man. That IV coming in. People were used to the volatility for so long that now that they're not seeing anything, they're still making those big bets and understand, hey, the environment has changed for the time being. People were still expecting more and more and more. And even us, we should expect that. Our expected moves are telling us yesterday we should expect that. Our weekly moves are telling us we should expect that. Right? But the game is changing slowly. The SPY holds 10 companies. The S&P 500. Sorry, try this game. Sorry, Jane. Jane, you saying something? Any recommendations for indicators, though? Truly, I think you could be successful with these moves, a MACD, and an RSI. I think that's really all you need. If you want to, you can utilize other things as well. We use a 5-day as well. right? We have a 5-day right here. It's very nice to see when the direction is overall shifting when you're taking back that 5-day. It's also a good area to look for those short opportunities again. So there's more that you can add to it, but if you just waited for monthly, literally, if you took 4 trades a year and waited for monthly expected moves and things to get dramatic outside them, you'd probably be more successful than most retail traders. Same goes for other situations, right? If you get really good at managing risk and managing your position size, you'll probably be more successful than retail traders. Most of them. There's like little things that if you do them really, really well, you can just put yourself in a position for success. But we say those things and it sounds very simple, but your decision making is what dictates if you're good or bad. All right, let's see. Wifey, let me get a text here. I think Wifey's supposed to be home any minute now. Baby girl went to sleep. Are hints the same as breakouts? I mean, hints to me are more hints are like this. Hints are more hints are more the shorter time frame. The shorter time frame you're using to tell you what the next time frame will do. So we're paying attention to a 30-minute right now. This is our hint because the 30-minute is curled down, suggesting downside is possible. But that could curl down a 2-hour chart. But has the actual thing in reality happened for the 2-hour chart? AKA, has this actually curled down yet? No. So our hint is still suggesting it is very probable, but it's not necessarily proving with the actual 2-hour chart. So hints are what I like to put money behind, though. I would say that. I like to put money behind these shorter time frames, right? Because those are the things saying, what is a hint? Like when I'm talking about a hint, what is a hint? A hint is saying we could see a shift here, right? A signal that suggests we could see a shift, right? That's what we're seeing from the 30-minute. We're trying to see that shift down for the 2-hour. But are we seeing bad things right now? No. You are curled down. It is still suggesting weakness can come, but you're overall just moving overall sideways. So if this just curls up, we could totally violate all this and we could start to squeeze. Yeah, I should say less risky, maybe something a little different. Oh, wait, no, you're saying VU is less risky. So I would say more so this is risky for the 2-hour 2-turn down. I'm trying to use different language to see if other people can understand that way. I only play options with 5% of my account. See, perfect, right? That's even sometimes like, well, it depends on if I add my cash. If I add my cash holding, then I use way less than 10%, way less than potentially even 5%. Especially in this type of environment. I don't have to risk a bunch of money. I know that the options can cost more in these type of times, but they just produce so well. I'm 13 Lotto Stocks videos in. J News like, I'm getting to it. I'm going to get there today. I'm full port every day, right, Coulter? You degen. You freaking degen. And if you do, don't look back. Yeah, we got to see when we're loading that boat, right, Richard? It's not gambling. It's trading. It's not gambling. It's day trading. God. Holy shit. Oh my goodness. That's great. Apple's still doing good things here, man. Holding up above that 200. Very, very nice. The 200 level. Retesting the 5 right now. Man, maybe, this will be crazy because Apple will be saying I might do something crazy. Apple ran like directly into that move. Saw resistance. What I think about gold, I think it is going to be very silly, right? You would just say silly to start a position now. GLD as it stands, you would say this is silly to say, oh, I'm going to buy gold now. Right? If you take the basic rule, buy low, sell high, well, what's a low? A low is when you see some kind of drop. A high is when you're at all-time highs. You're at all-time highs right now. This means that this is most likely FOMO or something really bad happening. But either way, is it a good time? Am I going to bank on the 0.1% chance that gold is going to scream up to 310 all of a sudden? It could happen, and you can probably make great money from it. But at this moment, it would say starting a position here would not be the best. Now, would it be okay to short? I think that would be more so what I would lean towards. But am I going to short gold when it's just rapidly moving up? No, it's too hard to tell. But we do give out weekly and monthly expected moves for key levels. So if you ever want to make those kinds of decisions, hey, you can make a lot of money if gold ends up flushing because everyone's probably jumping into it. But I would really pay attention to position size, right? If I'm going to just take something because it hits a monthly expected move, which gold did, it's just going to be troublesome. So do I think gold is bad overall? No, I think that gold's going to have a weekly pullback and end up going to the at least the 20 on the weekly scale. I think we're at least going to see that. If we see more than that, then probably 250. I think 250 would be great for GLD. We can look at futures, but it's going to be the same story. Just we actually have ranges for GLD. That's why. Yeah, see, it's like at least give yourself that time, right, Richard? You feel the same about silver? I actually haven't looked at silver in a minute. Silver's been behaving differently, though. Yeah, see, silver has never built back up. So silver's a different story. It could still have room to go, but right now, do we have anything beneath this? I'd still be watching that 2 hour. I'd be looking for structure as well. This is an area where structure would be great. So if it's going to remain bullish, you still would like to see this and then curl back up. That would be a great sign, more for a trade setup. If the 2 hour crosses, I'd be like, ooh, that could actually go fill this gap. So that could be a big problem. That's all. So am I inclined to really take a position on silver right now? I wouldn't say so, personally. It's not the look that I like to see. We're starting to see that resistance come in. We're seeing 30-minute charts really start to just turn down and down with rejection divergence. It's not the best look in the world, right? This is going like this. I would rather it have like not done that. I would rather have seen it go like this. But it's not doing that. And it's not what I would rather does not happen, right? It's all about what's happening in front of you right then. So do I think silver is the best opportunity? I don't think it's probably like, I think it's probably better opportunity than say gold right now. Yeah. But is it an opportunity for me to take a play on? I just don't think so. What happened? Oh no. It seems, yeah, see, it seems like, do you see how that 30-minute pullback would make it look a lot nicer non-human? Just a test of the 5 would be good. If the 2 hour crosses, then you got to be like, ooh, that could go a little bit lower. There's 2 gaps there for SLV at least. What are my thoughts on SPY for like noon? Are you Eastern time, like in the next hour? Like I said, I think that today is going to be an important day. I said about at 9 o'clock for me, so that would be 30 minutes after the open. I'm Central time. I said we have about an hour left, pretty much. I said in the next 2 hours, I think we got to see something, right? And that something could be a bunch of things, right? It could be, hey, we start to see some bad news and we curl down, right? It could be just bad news, bad. It could be pull back to the daily, right? Those are the 2 kind of things I'm paying attention to for the downside. To the upside, okay, well, we're looking to get to here. That would be great. Then we're probably going to get a pullback. Okay, that's 1. The other scenario is we pop up for a brief moment, touch that daily, and then we see rejection, right? It's a trap. And that's what we'll watch. But as of right now, we're just moving sideways. We're not getting any kind of hints, and maybe this leaks out all day, so maybe you have to join on Rumble later, right? Rumble will be fun. Rumble will be fun to see what happens in that last 5 minutes when we always see something happen. Meta losing the 9-day is not the best. What Meta's been seeing weakness. Someone was telling me about this too. The fact that Meta is actually holding up here pretty well with the 15 minutes, very, very good. Like if I was looking at something and, okay, so here's this. If we experienced a squeeze and I was like, wow, I'm looking for an opportunity. I want to look at all these 2 hours and see, okay, Meta's crossed down on a 2 hour, right? AMD, not. NVIDIA, not at the highs there. Okay, Amazon, not necessarily the best, but not curled down yet. Tesla, not curled down yet. Okay, so if I'm looking at this from a perspective of what's still at lower levels that if we did curl up, I would want to pay attention, I would actually look at Meta. I actually would, right? I'd be looking at Meta probably in between, right? Probably at that hourly chart. And I'd be like, hey, if that hourly curls up, we can take out this high and go make a new one. That'd be great. Right? That's what I'd be looking at. Like, right, Meta is the closest to testing that breakout area down towards that 518. Right? It's 12 points away for Meta. That's great. Daily scale is still down here, right? Still below the 5. We look across at stuff and we go, NVIDIA's above the 5. Right? So that means Meta could either go through bad things, maybe it's not going to catch the bounce, right? But maybe I can use my monthly, weekly expected moves to see what Meta's doing and then go from there. As of right now, I think there is some risk out there, and I think we got to see if we're actually going to get those next upside moves. I'm going to look at some things. All right, we're good. But we have to wait. We have to really see, and that's kind of the unfortunate part. How's my BlackBerry doing? Dude, BlackBerry? We haven't looked at that in a minute. Come on, BlackBerry. See, it's same things, right? It's literally like almost the same things. You're seeing this kind of lackluster buying, and you're seeing if that confirms down and if the 2 hour can follow, right? The 2 hour. Still the 2 hour. Did I have 2 hour divergence down here? Not necessarily. No. Is this still close to the center line? If this curled down, would that be a bad thing? Yes. So now I know my thing to react to, but is it bad right now? The 30-minute is curled up, right? It shows that there's not the best buying, but right now it's curled up. So for me to just be like short, well, then I would need to see price prove me right. I want to see price just turn down, lose the 5, and then I can make a decision and say, hey, maybe the 2 hour is going to turn down there. And maybe I see the 30-minute cross down, I take that. And then if the 2 hour crosses down, I feel confident in it. And then I say if the 30-minute curls up at any time, that's my risk management. That's my management of the trade. Right? You can make it pretty simple. But I don't think this looks like terrible. I think the daily looks like really, really deep. So I wouldn't say like, oh, BlackBerry is definitely going up here. I would say that BlackBerry, if it saw a great move, would probably run into some problems around $4 to $4.20. $4.20 plays it. But that would be overall like a 25% gain almost. So not bad. Not the best, not bad. 2 hours still vulnerable. That's the problem with today is you have a vulnerability and we're just sitting sideways. But the more you sit sideways, if you can't bust them down and you just saw a breakthrough to the upside, well, you might see another breakthrough to the upside. So let's pay attention if this 30-minute curls up and then see if we can get up to that weekly expected move. Because if not, and we run into this and bonk our head, that can be a problem. Okay, let me see real quick. I want to go check on Meta. I want to look at that even deeper. Meta is still back in that monthly expected move, trying to curl up on the daily, showing some interesting things from the 15-minute, but not necessarily being like, oh yeah, I'm the best thing in the world. It's showing 15-minute divergence. I'm not the biggest 15-minute divergence guy. But that hourly is pretty much still by that center line. And that's not necessarily the look of another drop coming. I can tell you that for Meta. See how things are priced for Meta. So what am I looking at? I'm looking for Apple, seeing if that sees more negativity. I'm looking for GME, see if that sees some negativity soon. That is GME. GME, ooh, going into the monthly expected move. You and me. When I was a young boy, my father took me into. Oh, wait, we're going to get demonetized again. God dang it. Yeah, so just looking at the GME stuff because I react with options. If I see this confirmed down, I want it available. I want it ready for me to take some off. With GME, I like to hold it, but then I like to actually play the options back and forth. You can actually make pretty good money doing that. There are times where I hold on to it and just say I'm going to lose the money if it loses here because the signals look good. This kind of is one of those times, but I'm going to react here if that happens. All right, well, it's unfortunate, but I do have to hop off. I got to go help out, and I feel bad doing it, but we will be live later on Rumble. We will be live on Rumble later today, so just be aware. I believe the link might still be in the description. If it is down there, well, you can go join us over on Rumble. It will be a great, great time over there. We'll look at the closing part of the day, the last power hour part of the day, and see what's going on there. But thank you guys so much for being here today. I really do appreciate it. If you guys want to get those weekly and monthly and daily, or well, daily expect moves for Friday, hey, the Patreon's there for you. It's great access to really, if you're even starting to practice, right? It's a great thing. It only costs $7 a month, and you can start to even practice for a month and really figure out what you're good at and what you suck at. And that would be a great thing. A little bit different when you start to put that money behind it, though, because your emotions behave a little different. We'll talk about it later. But the other thing is, guys, that course is on sale, right? If you really missed out on this and you were really, really bearish here as this was confirming and you feel like, hey, yeah, I missed out and this and that, don't feel like you missed out. There will be other opportunities. And it's just understanding when to actually make the execution of that opportunity, right? I experienced a loss in some way, got rid of some of that stuff, went back into it, and then was able to be profitable at the end of it all. And that's perfectly fine, right? Managing risk is a good thing. It will make you a great trader. But at the same time, we teach a lot of this stuff over in the course down in the description. It is 80% off. You can literally go learn how we caught this type of setup. Very, very simple stuff, but very good to understand how to actually execute the trade and manage risk if it goes wrong. That is down there in the description, full technical analysis course. Check it out if you want to, right? Just if you want to, right? If you want to stick around on YouTube and keep asking questions, perfectly comfortable with that. But if you want everything cut and dry, this is how it's done. These are how you pay attention to these type of things and monthly expected moves. Great thing. Thank you guys so much for joining today. I look forward to seeing you guys over on Rumble. And I got to get out of here and probably go, wipe my wife's nose or something like that. I don't know. Have a good day, guys. Good luck. Good luck. Stay safe out there. Manage your risk and have some conviction today, right? And we'll be just fine if we trade like water. Peace.